Got our final game of the day coming your way. Kova versus Team Singularity. Now, Team Singularity won the prediction sweep pretty unanimously across the board, but obviously we've seen Kova have some pretty good performances, even in their losses. Kova do have kind of like those moments where they do really stand out. So keep an eye on them. I don't think they're completely written out here, but Singularity definitely the stronger team coming into this one.
And if you want some names to look out for Kova, just take a look at the jungle support duo you got there. You got Outlandish in the jungle, and you of course got Tiara. Their main objective is to have an influence on the map, specifically Tiara. We've seen what he can do in the mid game, but one of the faults we've seen from Kova last week was the terrible macro in the late game. And if you want a chance against Singularity, you need to get ahead from the get-go. You need the roam timings to match, because you better be knowing that Prosper is going to be out on the map as well. And then you need the macro to actually make sense.
He's not going to be out on the map on Rakan. That's the first ban of this game from Kova. We're seeing a lot of top lane focused bans here as well. Wondering whether or not Singularity are taking away top so they can first pick something, or maybe just ensure a positive matchup there for Weasel. So I do think he's probably one of their strongest players. I really rate Weasel. And if you can get a good match up top, then in this meta as well, that's pretty powerful.
It's quite interesting to see a Renekton ban straightly followed with the Camille afterwards. Usually you only see one of them. If you ban the Renekton, it's because you want to play Camille yourself here. But I guess it's just against Tatui in general that they don't want him on some side lane carries here, even though that we've seen him a lot of some tanks. And I mean, we've been talking about him all day long, and he's finally here. It's the deer. And one of the reasons why Udyr has been, specifically on this patch, risen in popularity is that Chemtech and Frostfire Gauntlet, items that he benefits of, got reduced by 400 gold as well. So it's even cheaper for you to get on the map. Now, I want to see if it's going to be a Flash or Ghost Udyr when we get in the game. But enough about that. Orcs can pick up on that when we get in game. Let's see about Kova picks instead.
Yeah, Pantheon is still one of the strongest junglers on the patch. Like, we see a lot of attention being thrown over to him. He was played in the last game as well. Really two similar champions as far as their kind of like smork playstyle of running at you, jumping on you, and just beating you up a little bit. But obviously Pantheon with that added global pressure as well. And whenever I see a Pantheon knock-in, my thoughts always go towards Galio and Twisted Fate. We see a lot of these two champions either picked as a response or in combination with Pantheon to kind of round out a global comp or to defend against it.
So with that in mind, sorry, Scoundrel, do you want something to say? Or...
No, I don't. No, I honestly, I have no idea where that ooh was going. I'm going to just shut up now.
All right, fair. I mean, I was going to give you the chance, but I don't want to seem arrogant. So let's talk about the Seraphine pick coming in. Usually when, as you said, Foxy, when the Pantheon is coming through, you want to open up the map, you want to go global. But Team Singularity, they're still looking for fights where you're skirmishing it around it. You get the movement speed kind of coming out from the Udyr that benefits with these skirmish fights all the time. You get the Seraphine as well. She loves extended team fights. And my lord, behold, we got Aatrox as well. Extended team fight galore with the Gordringer coming in as well. You're looking at Team Singularity right now, and you're thinking skirmish.
Yeah, and a lot of just running it down, fighting people, exactly as you say. And I think Seraphine is a really good component of those kind of team comps, because you have all that AoE utility, and that's perfect. Like, because I think whenever you're going up against the Pantheon as well, split push comps become a little bit harder to play against, because you can ult into the side lane and then punish split pushes, and that's something which you always have to, always has to be on your mind when you're playing against that champion. But if your team comp is just group up and fight together, you don't have to be so worried about his ultimate, and I think it really takes the edge of Pantheon as a champion.
See the bans coming through here. Aphelios has been banned away by Kova, followed by Syndra here in the mid lane for Team Singularity. Let's wait for a Vayne ban taken off the board here. Okay, it's an interesting one. We haven't seen a huge amount of Vayne, but that may be a targeted ban.
It can be targeted, but Vayne also a champion just kind of risen in popularity lately. And if you're thinking you would go for extended team fighting composition and want to scale up a bit, I mean, the Vayne just kind of makes it way through there. I'm very interested to see that no support bans has come out whatsoever, and specifically, for example, Galio, that Foxy also talked about, because Galio has in his kit that, yes, he's great to engage with the global scale if you want to open up the map, but he's also got decent disengage in terms of just taunting multiple people and just running away with his E if they're not near you. But yeah, there he actually goes through. And what I like about this is that we already know that Team Singularity is a comp that wants to team fight. So on Kova's side, if you can open up the map, you're kind of playing around that win condition.
Yeah, and I think it's a really underrated combo as well with Wukong and Galio, because if you do end up bundling in a little bit and Wukong's in the middle of the fight, spinning around like a Beyblade, if you then chuck on Galio on top of that, then that's like a really, really decent follow-up engage. You have you just get a huge body in the middle of the team fight, you can provide CC, utility, and yeah, it's a really, really, really nice combo. And we're seeing as a response here, Team Singularity going with the Senna that has risen in popularity. As we mentioned, we saw Senna last game, it was really, really strong, and it's mostly down to the changes of Senna's increased attack speed, scaling, and made her Q apply Kraken Slayer hit. So you do Kraken Slayer plus Ginzu's, and all in all, it turns Senna into pretty strong champion, actually. And yeah, with all this utility and just all of this, or the heals and the team fight coming through from Singularity, I think it's pretty clear what their goals are for this game.
So they actually end up putting the Seraphine mid, which is something I think is really underrated. You usually go TP on it, you get the mana items, and you kind of just become this wave clear bot, where you're just sitting in a safe scenario, you got a decent range, and waiting for these skirmishes to arise. And on the other side, Proka on Anivia, which I think can be very interesting, because you get this kind of wall that can make it harder to navigate team fights that you want to go into on Singularity side. And you know, it like champions on Olaf, for example, where he's having an easy time to deal with CC, but walls is something he's having a harder time dealing with. Kind of same scenario with Udi as well. If you can cut his path off, he doesn't have any gap closers whatsoever.
Yeah, I think just to summarize like the draft here real quick is for Singularity, you don't have like that really clear like higher damage output champion, but that's fine, because on the side of Kova there isn't like any real tanky options there either. So even someone like Senna or Aatrox will melt through people. But that Anivia pick I think is really, really smart too. Great into Udi. You've got the wall, you've got the ulti as well to stop him from running into you. I think it brings you control in team fights, and I really like that last pick.
So do I. I'm very much looking forward to seeing this game pan out. I wonder if Kova can actually beat and upset the favourites here in Singularity and keep that Group B even more competitive. We'll see how it goes. Hitbrain and Orc's going to pass it over.
Thank you very much, Excandral. The first game of Group B this week so far, and it's going to be Singularity versus Kova. I'm loving the Singularity draft. They got the Seraphine, just so obnoxious in team fights, and also Uda at the moment, which we did see in the UKLC over the last couple of days. Got a double Flame Horizon. It was nasty. I know you were watching that one, so
yeah. I mean,
pretty horrid.
It's just interesting to me because Nolty's picking Udia, and there was a time a while ago when Udia got a bunch of buffs to his Phoenix stance, and I was like, hey, Nolty, Udia's broken, you should play it. And he was like, nah, I don't think Udia's good. And then he started playing it later himself, and now it's become meta. So really, he should have just listened to me all along. Is kind of the point I'm trying to make.
There you go.
Yeah, and Nolty just needs to learn to appreciate my input, is what I'm saying. I'm not salty. I'm not salty. I'm a little salty, but either way.
Very salty. Well, we're on to the Rift for our fourth and final game of the day. And both these teams pretty far apart from each other in the standings at the moment. Singularity are 3-1 in Group B, and Kova 1-3. So Kova kind of need to get a win here to keep himself in a decent spot within the league, or within their group anyway. Otherwise, playoffs can slip out of their grasp.
Absolutely could. I think this game, I am very much interested in how this bot lane goes. I think Dragdar and Prosper has been doing mountains of work for Singularity. They've been a pleasure to watch as a duo. Their synergy's been solid and it's making a huge impact. But I think that still can be applied to Kova. I think Snurry and Tiara have been big talking points for this team as well. And Tiara in particular have been able to roam around the map and make impact. So very interested to see what goes on there. I kind of expect that we might see Singularity play a little bit more passively, particularly around Nolty, simply because there's a lot of power in the early pressure of the Pantheon, whereas Nolty can just look to power farm and just completely eclipse that as he gets later in the game. One of the big things with Udia is his farming is amazingly fast, thanks to his Phoenix stance. He becomes super tanky with his build path because essentially he does a ton of damage from his base numbers are just so high after being buffed time and time again. Although he does pick up a bit of damage, typically a Lich Bane, like just getting like an early chem tank makes him so hard to kill.
Yeah, I believe the build is like Lich Bane is your damage item, and then everything else is just tankiness. And with his base numbers and the Lich Bane proc, it's just enough. Lich Bane's also really nice because it gives him loads of movement speed, and Udyr, a champion who really enjoys movement speed, hence the flashless Udyr, and it is just Ghost.
And for anyone who is wondering why you started with his Q, even this is Phoenix Udyr, it's because for clearing your buffs in particular, the Q is a lot better because it gives you attack speed, it's better for single target camps. And also going between your Q and your R is the most efficient way to clear. Your E is useless really for clearing, and your W is, I guess, moderately okay for the sustain, but it's kind of just a filler ability. It's your Q and your R that gives him such a high clear speed. He'll keep 1 point in his Q, and all that means is that he'll have 1 less point in his E at the end of the game, but really it's not too much of an issue.
Yeah, kind of gone are the days where it was either Tiger or Phoenix, and you kind of just ignored the other one. The attack speed you get is so lovely. Is Fury going to show us why Seraphine is a really fun and interactive champion to play into?
Yeah, let's get a lot of pressure across the board. Like, particularly mid lane, it's expected. Seraphine, a really powerful champion at harassing in lane, and Anivia needs a bit of time to get going, really. But top lane, Weizor handling this matchup pretty well into the Wukong. Did see a Wukong in the NLC last week to a pretty disastrous effect from Kerberos, but hopefully Tati can do a little bit better.
For now, feeling the pressure. All the lanes doing pretty decent. Dragged on Prosper, the only lane that's kind of been shoved in at the moment, but they're okay just farming underneath the tower. Fury actually goes for a reset and going to teleport back in with the Tear of the Goddess finished up. A little bit extra pops to work with, so teleport for teleport being traded out in the mid lane. And I think the attention is really going to be on these junglers and seeing how they handle this early game and what objectives look to get picked up. Because remember, Udyr will be able to take down these like dragons, these Rift Heralds very quickly on his own.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, you're already starting to see the pace. Udyr has done his full clear, down the bot side now, clearing his Krugs again. It's not like a massive monumental difference. Like, up until a second ago, their CS number was the same, but that score carried over again and again and again, just eventually resulted in Nulty coming further and further ahead. So agency really is on Outlandish to make something happen, to have an impact. The problem is if you go for a gank and it fails, it can be really disastrous because then you're falling back even further. So that's why farming junglers have tend to sort of be really dominant at the moment, because obviously if you're farming efficiently, you can just translate into a gank and it doesn't matter if it goes off. But I think we're seeing that first play come out.
Yeah, Fury actually just flashes away, isn't going to get hit by that flash frost. Doesn't want anything to do with it and just going to back off. And meanwhile, Nulty quite happily just farming away. Will be spotted out by Tiara, who went for a cheeky warding trip through the jungle. But the tempo is there for Nulty at the moment. And remember that second spawn Krugs are actually really impactful because that's the one where they give the extra...
Weizor! That was pretty sick. Completely caught us off guard completely, but just catches Taddy out with the burst damage available on that Q, hitting the sweet spot. So beautiful play. And yeah, we see Kova go for this dragon. Okay, we'll go for the replay first. I mean, Taddy's low. Ideally at this point, you wouldn't be this low. You backed off, you get a reset. And Weizor, Taddy just didn't expect this. Like, he catches WQ and he's thinking he's need to flashes in to secure it. Taddy just getting outplayed. That shouldn't be happening at all. He shouldn't be getting solo killed. Definitely not picking the Wukong for that. So a great play there. But if you take a look now at the jungle of Kova, we actually saw a situation where Krugs were respawning for Outlandish slightly behind Nulty. But Outlandish hasn't done them, so they're still up. So Nulty cleared through his jungle again. And now he's gone into Kova's jungle and he stole away the Raptors. He's trying to get punished here by Tati, but I don't think he dies here.
The second Cyclone was available to Tatui, but
yeah, I think he just wasn't in range. Didn't want to flash in, but I mean, realistically, Nulty burns Ghost. It's a relatively short cooldown. It's not a big problem. He got the Raptors from Outlandish, and he's managed to build up a big CS lead, and now he goes to his bot side of the map, which is respawning. and Nolty's just been efficiently clearing. This is the cost of that dragon that Kova went for. It's a big team objective, potentially leads to Soul, denies it from Singularity. We all know that about dragons, but it did cost his pathing quite a bit and has put the Pantheon behind. It would have been even more devastating if he wasn't able to clear Nolty out there, but he was. So now we'll get to see what Nolty does with that extra farm advantage and if he can continue it, because right now his entire bot side is up and he's picking up the Scuttle Crab as well.
He could also look for a potential invade. The pings are going out. They're aware that is an option, although the resets have come in from Singularity's bot side, so I expect Nolty to play the smart game here and step away. The point I was making when Wazel got the kill onto Tatooine is the Krugs, their first spawn, actually don't give you the full experience, so getting them down as quick as possible is big, and Tatooine actually, Outlandish only took his fairly recently, so
that was second spawn.
A little bit further behind.
He just took the second spawn of Krugs. He
did take the second spawn. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The second spawn is the one where you get the full experience. And he's only just taken it, while Nolty has just taken his third spawn of Krugs. So that's the tempo difference right now between these two junglers.
And that's the thing, is Nolty could have gone for that invade, a little bit risky, and gone for the Gromp to deny it. But what is the point of doing that when you have your entire jungle up and Outlandish has bits here and there? So Nolty can just go through for another full clear and look to pull ahead in terms of experience. In terms of gold. And realistically, it's one of the scenarios where it's like, okay, Outlandish hasn't been able to keep up the farm and it's expected from the matchup. What has he done instead? He got a dragon? Cool. What else? Nothing as of yet. And already we're seeing a pretty substantial gold lead build up. Part of that is due to the solo kill in the top lane and the CS advantage. But also this jungle matchup is another compounding factor.
Yeah, Nolty now looking to take the Rift Herald for himself. Should be able to do this as Outlandish is on the other side of the map. Does have that Grand Starfall, so Singularity needs to be a little bit careful on that one. Don't want a Pantheon dropping in on them, although Tiara not level 5 and just leaving the base walls now means that there wasn't really any follow-up. So overall, just going to be a reset from Singularity on their bot side. Rift Herald is secured by Nolty, and now he's actually looking to take away this chicken camp, although there is a jungler in the area, and Broken needs to be careful as the beat drop will slow him down. Nolty is going to make his way out. I think he stole one chicken, so not really anything big.
Yeah, so Kova doing a good job of defending Outlandish's jungle. It's important because if you allow that to happen, you'll just get decimated. You'll just get even further ahead. He'll snowball massively. As of now, he's still ahead, but he's within arm's reach. So Outlandish isn't doing too bad, all in all. I think something that we need to be aware of later in the game is the power of the globals of Kova. The Pantheon combined with the Galio means that if there's any situation like we saw last game where someone's overstepped, someone's out of position, I fully expect Kova to capitalize on it. And I think something they've shown from their games, even in their losses, is that they're really good at finding opportunities to start team fights, really good at finding those windows to kick things off. And I have no doubt that if they see an opportunity, they will punish Singularity. And for now, the opportunity seems to be this dragon that they're trying to get some setup for.
The second dragon could actually be pretty nice for them. Obviously, accelerates that tempo towards a potential soul point. It's going to be a cloud or an ocean soul. We've had 2 cloud souls and 1 ocean so far today, so had a lot of clouds yesterday on the UKLC as well, so I'm kind of hoping we don't see a cloud soul.
Wait,
get bored of that one.
A lot of clouds in the UK? I mean, that's just standard.
Unheard of. Prosper missing hooks. Also unheard of.
Yeah, kind of a bit of a rough one there. Went in for that one, trying to cast the Anivia, predict the movement. But either way, you get Proca's Flash and force them away. I think Singularity would have liked more, but they're fine with that one. And they've got complete control of this dragon, so they'll just be picking this one up. Seems like Kova not really in position to contest.
And Prosper real just standing on the vision saying, I know you know. There's nothing you're going to do about it. And that is the dragon picked up, so we talked about the kind of pacing and what Outlandish lost to get that dragon, and ultimately, it's now been traded out. It's now been answered out by Nolty, who's going to just go back to farming. And the CS lead is starting to grow to a pretty scary point in the jungle. As we look everywhere else, though, we're heavily focused on the jungle. Every time we look topside, Wazel is smacking Tatooine about. Mid lane's fairly even. You kind of expect that from the Seraphine versus Anivia. Just 2 champions who will clear waves and kind of play for the team more than their solo lane. Bot lane's fairly close as well. There's a slight gold lead building for Snormy, but Dragdark kind of okay with that one. Did expect it. So yeah, it's mainly this jungle where I'm starting to get worries, but for the moment, top as well. as I see what Wazel's capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean,
Jungle
that
and top
Aatrox is
are
going
where
to be
my Warriors
scary.
are starting.
And the thing is, like, both of those champions will just become so powerful in the mid game. They'll feel unkillable. Particularly for the likes of a Jhin, who doesn't have the greatest amount of damage at cutting down these sort of tankier oppositions. Obviously, the Anivia does essentially have a lot of sustained damage as far as mages go. If given the opportunity, should be able to cut through. But it'll depend on the execution when it comes to those team fights. And I think a big thing top lane is not just that kill, but those plates that have been going down. That's a tower.
Yeah, that is straight up the tower. Nulty finds out outlandish, but with the whip from Wazel, he cuts through the wave and now shoved in heavily. Outlandish and Tatooine need to be careful as this tower may just go down. The World End has been used. The tower's going to get finished up by the Udyr for the moment, but he's looking to run down. The fight's on two fronts, and this is Tatooine flashing
He's
away
just
as
running.
Nulty looks to chase him down. Bear Slap not going to connect. Singularity able to get a second charge out, and they may actually translate this into a second tower. Udyr should be able to take this fairly quick with the help of Wazel.
Yeah, I mean, this is the jungle difference combined with the top domination coming up from Wazel. Getting the tower low enough so that Udyr can just walk in and throw down the Herald to get the tower is massive. And Outlandish, he saw it coming, but the mistake was trying to defend it. The tower is dead. You have to let it go. Instead, you gave over a kill and a second tower as a result. You should have just defended the second tower, try to stop the charge, if not, whatever. But at the end of the day, giving over so much to Singularity right there. 2 towers is giving them a 3,500 gold lead. You can see it in front of you. 2,200 between junglers, 2,200 between top laners. It's just absolutely massive already.
Yeah, Fury got a kill in that as well, so the Seraphine's starting to accelerate a little bit. More and more jungles being stripped away as Nulty heads back into the top side. I believe he took the chickens, and then he took the crab, and now he's gone for the Krugs. So Nulty, this topside jungle is just his now.
I mean, taking those 2 towers is massive for him as well, because you can see the position Tati is on the map. He can't push up. He knows they really can't contest that side of the jungle. They don't have a tower to fall back to. So it gives Nulty so much more freedom to essentially push forward, clear those camps, and he can just reset now and clear his own camps, which are up and available. But it looks like he's going to stay a little bit longer. I think he wants to provide cover for Wazel to crush that wave in, which he has been able to do.
Oh, hold on. Prosper's found one. Outlandish not going to stick around too much longer. It's just a light trade for each other. Nulty, now Chem Tank finished up for him. Headed back to base and spent some of that gold. Got the... I actually can't remember what that's called, that item.
The chem tank.
No, the other ones. The component item.
Oh,
Legs.
the legs. Winged moonplate.
Winged moonplate. I genuinely didn't know that one.
Or speedy go-go pants. That's what I call them.
Speedy Go-Go Pants is a good name for them.
Yeah. Do you have Kraken Slayer and the Rage Knife for Dragdar? So pretty nice spike in that regard. You can see that Nulty actually made a decision to clear top down to bot, and that has ended up sacrificing his jungle, and Kova have just come in and decided to absolutely ravage it. It does mean he can hand off the blue to Fury, though, which is important. The next priority is his Drake spawning in 40 seconds. You can see Razor starting to move down. You can see Singularity trying to contest his priority in mid. But the vision control is in favor of Kova right now.
Oh, Proka, you are in so much hurt. Everything layered into the egg. And Dragdar will secure the kill. That should be Herald. That should be Dragon to Singularity. They're the pick of the litter.
It's just not balanced. Honestly, Udyr is so fast at closing gaps. And then Seraphine's ult, the duration, the sort of travel distance resets when it hits an ally or an enemy. So essentially you have your own sort of way of lining up your ultimate. Nulty runs in, lands a stun. You can fire your ult through your team, will go for miles. And there's just nothing Proka can really do other than not be there.
No answer. The curtain call's coming in. The teleport as well on top of the trap. They're using the Grand Starfall. The fight is breaking out, and Outlandish is inside the pit for the moment. Fury's looking for his opportunity. Remember, they don't have the Encore. Health bars alone. Wazel's doing a lot of work in the middle of everyone.
Oh my God,
Wazel
Wazel
gets one kill. Forces Snobby to flash away, and he's still going. Locked down by Outlandish and taken out, but now they're looking for a return onto Proka. He will finally fall as Prosper secures the kill there. Dragon is going to go down for nobody. But a massive, massive team fight. 2 members on both sides fall. Kova ultimately, though, are the team with lower health bars. And this means Singularity can get the crab and get themselves set up to take this dragon once Nulty's respawned.
I think I was a little bit naive from Singularity, thinking that the one pick would stop Kova from fighting them. Kova always look to take these fights. They look to challenge, and this is the perfect position. Trapped in the pit with a Jin ultimate, with the Grand Starfall coming in. Perfect setup for Kova to go in for a big fight, and they would have clean swept this if it wasn't for Weasel. Look at this damage he's putting out. Smashes Jara, and if it wasn't for Snurmy's flash there, probably would have easily taken him as well. But the Aatrox demanded so much attention, it allowed Singularity's backline to clean up Proka and find some space. But that very easily could have been a clean sweep for Kova, and Singularity have to be careful before they disrespect them again.
Yeah, that was you had no encore. You'd already used it to find that pick onto Proka earlier, so that fight could be very different if you have the Seraphine R, but they didn't.
And
Weasel, though, capable of doing a fair amount, so it ultimately big play.
When there's a Grand Starfall coming in, when there's a Galio and a Wukong, and you're trapped in the Dragon Pit, never a good time. You could see Ragdoll just instantly flashed out. He was like, I ain't about this, Ulti. You're on your own. You can deal with this.
Looks like the trade is going to be Rift Herald for the Dragon, although Weasel stopping Outlandish from doing it. We do unfortunately get a quick pause in the middle of the action. But yeah, genuinely really, really nice stuff coming out from Singularity. To be able to turn that fight around. But honestly, I think bigger props to Kova for recognizing when they could find a punish, considering that they are the team who are on the back foot and they traded equal with the team who are ahead of them. That's the bigger play there.
I think Kova has shown, even in their rough games, even their game against Fnatic where they struggled, they've shown that they are absolutely a team who will look to find windows to get back into the game. If they're behind, if they're struggling to play, if they're downing numbers, they will try and find those windows, which sometimes backfires, but often they manage to challenge teams who, by all means, should have been taking those fights.
They have to be very careful here. The wall's been laid onto Prosper, and he may just lose his life. A big heal's coming in over the wall from Dragdar. The knock-up is there. The curtain call isn't going to be enough to find the kill, and Dragdar will lose his life as Weasel able to take him down. Now they get a return kill in the response, but here comes the Udyr. The Rift Herald's resets. Normie needs to be careful as Nolty capable of doing a fair amount of damage. And another 1-for-1 fight, another equal trade. Ultimately meaning the Rift Herald will get picked up with Kova.
A little bit ambitious going for that play when Fury's not there. I think we should have seen Singularity slow down.
Oh, Nolty. Looking for it. Can he get it? Outlandish sets the stun onto him. They're going to look for it. The charm is huge. Nolty's on the back line, and Dragdar takes the kill. That's also the Herald secured by Singularity. A massive steal for him. And now Dragdar can make sure the team pick it up. Going to get the snare off onto one, but Nolty just runs around the wall. The hook's going to hit the wall, but Proka will lose his life. Nolty with a hero play for Singularity.
Perfect execution. They slow play it. They wait for Fury. The ult is gorgeous and it allows them to chase them down with the follow-up. Dragdar's wasting no time to throw that Herald straight down in the mid lane, and that will be tier 1 taken, and the last of the tier 1 towers down for Kova. Pretty significant gold lead already for Singularity, and they are looking strong once again in this game.
Yeah, see if TR can actually deal with this Herald. Is just about able to. The wind-up almost came down. And this is ultimately Singularity just going to strip some more jungle from Outlandish, but let's have a little look at this once again.
Yeah, so essentially in this one, Kova going for the Herald here, but the problem with this play for Singularity is they don't even have their mid lane. The Seraphine isn't here. She's off dealing with the bot wave, and Udyr is at Dragon, so they don't have numbers here, and despite that, they actually managed to trade evenly, but it's just a bit, you know, potentially could have been an overreach for Singularity, potentially could have gone worse, but Kova aren't able to find any angles in, and then Singularity, they know the Herald's reset, they have vision on it, so they're able to take this one slow. They wait for the Seraphine to get there, and then it's this beautiful charm that comes in. Kova lines up, and that's where this ultimate just gets so much value. And then you see Nolty just able to start to clean up. He's low HP, but he's not threatened. And we can have a look at that Udyr counter. The wall comes down, and he just runs around it. Not doing very much there, ultimately. And a nice pickup for Singularity, and critically as well, Nolty smiting the Herald there.
Yeah, the big steal from him, massive stuff. But yeah, Fury's ultimate was super impactful. And whenever Singularity have that ulti, it just feel like they can just take the fight, no matter what. I didn't see because we got Dragdar with the glacial augment on his rune page. I didn't actually see what we had last time. I didn't know if it was a glacial.
No idea.
It was
Yes.
apparently. There we go. Thank you.
I mean, Singularity just looks in a really solid spot. I will say, though, one thing is they keep sending Fury to clear up these side waves. I mean, he's good at clearing out the waves. He's quick at them, but ideally you would want him with the team. But now they are looking for Snurmy here. Prospect hovering on the edge of vision, potentially looking for a hook, but TP coming in. This is a fight. Over
Yeah,
one.
they're going to use the Grand Starfall. They're actually just going to turn it around. Dragdar flashes over the wall back towards his own teleport. Snurmy burning to the Ignite, but won't go down yet. They do have that charm. Keep your eyes on Fury. Lands it onto everyone. And in the midst of it, Fury finds a kill. Massive snipe on the backline does come in as Prospect loses his life, but Tiara going very, very low. Health bars on Kova. Horribly low. But they are able to get away. And once again, the trade is equal. 1-for-1.
A lot of teleports used in that situation, though, but you can see Kova again. They're not a team who will just go down sleeping. They will look for these angles to engage. And critically, once more, Fury was not there at the start of the fight. Dragdar happened to flash to get to him so he could provide that peel for him. We'll see a replay of that one. So they're very overextended here. They haven't checked wards. There's a control ward behind them. And Dragdar makes a great decision to flash over here to get away. But ultimately, this situation is a little bit messy. And then they're able to re-engage for Singularity. They're able to find some space and get a kill. Critical snipe from Snurmy keeps it even. And then the Anivia just essentially says, no, this fight's over. Back off. Because the wall and the Glacial Storm, Ice Storm, whatever it's called. Glacial Storm just stops Singularity in their tracks.
Well, Dragon spawning up in 20 seconds. And Outlandish gonna burn the smite, actually, to be able to take down this Rift Herald to make sure his team do have consistent vision. Encore now back up, so that's something they have to be careful of, and they're just going to land
Beautiful
the hook.
hook.
They're just going to land everything, and that will be one dead Galio. Nolty gets the Chilling Smite off and forces the Gale Force out from Snormy. That should just be the second dragon, the third dragon, sorry, for Singularity.
Yeah, and Cloud Dragon's actually huge for this team. Ult cooldown is massive for everyone across the board, and for Udyr, it actually shortens the cooldown on his abilities. Obviously, you'll know this term, but it's kind of like a global cooldown. Whenever you use one of your abilities, all of them have a short cooldown before you can use another one. And having Cloud Dragons actually shortens that, so you're able to spam between your abilities a lot quicker. That's actually really valuable. And obviously, Cloud Soul gives a ton of movement speed to the team as well, which is invaluable when you have things like Aatrox and an Udyr.
Flashless Bird. Yeah, that was a change they introduced fairly recently, actually. Not recently, a while back, but they did change it.
It was basically useless for him, but now it's actually pretty valuable. Because it just, that lockout, when you use one ability, you can't use another, just reduces it, allows for faster rotation between your spells. $6,000 gold lead, 3 dragons to 1. Singularity definitely taking control of this game, and you can see, in particular, Fury has just farmed up a Storm. He's been the one who's been sent to these side lanes consistently to pick them up, which is the reason why he's just so far ahead of everyone in terms of farm. Even the Anivia, who's a farming monster, just kind of pales in comparison. The sheer power that is this Seraphine. And it is an AP Seraphine. It tends to be that when there's a bot lane Seraphine, you see more of the Moonstone stuff flowing water. Obviously, with support, you always see that. But bot lane in general, you see that a bit more if it's a bot Seraphine, like placed in the AD carry. But in mid lane, you tend to want the AP build. You want that extra wave clear, particularly in the early game. Obviously, if you're playing at bot, you tend to have wave clear mid. And you want that AP damage coming out as well.
Oh, 25 minutes on the clock. We are 3 minutes away from the Cloud Soul coming up. Baron's on the map. Neither team not really looking for that. If we do have a quick zoom out and look at the vision, though, we can start to take a look of where we're at. Both teams not really got the vision set in the area to properly control it. A couple of wards here and there. So I don't expect to see any real contest over this Baron yet. The kind of big giveaway will be when we see the vision start to get toggled a little bit more. But the Grand Starfall's coming into Dragdar. He just goes for a quick swim, and Nolty looks to run the team down. Encore as well means that is going to be one egg form forced out and one dead bird.
There's Weasel.
Double kill for Fury. Into the backline they do go. There's Taswi looking for the kill onto Fury, but it's a triple kill for the Seraphine.
Yeah, I mean, that is a hyper-fed Seraphine. Leandries, Seraphs, and Void Staff. Huge amount of damage, and they just decimate that team fight. Easy engages. It was more for counter-engage, but Singularity able to turn around and turn straight onto this Baron. Kova looking pretty without hope in this one, but they're still trying. And I think that's the critical thing we always see from Kova is they'll always try and find these windows in. And this was one of them. They won't go for the ult on Dragdar. A bit ambitious when he still has Cleanse and Flash available. And this turnaround, the ult coming in from the Seraphine, just means it's very easy for Singularity to find a way in. And the unfortunate thing is, you look at how much damage Tati's doing here. He actually nearly takes out Fury and does a lot of damage to Dragdar. If it'd been synced a little bit better, if Tati had been able to TP in from behind, it could have been so much more devastating. But the problem is, with that mid tower still up and available for Singularity, you're not going to be able to find a deep board. You're not going to be able to find a TP angle. And as a result, they couldn't coordinate their abilities, because that potentially could have been a one fight for Kova if the Wukong had just been able to get in at the same time as everyone else.
Oh, good Gale Force by Snormy to make sure that...
Speaking of coming in at different angles, we now see little Ninja Galio does have a ward, so can throw it down for Tati. His ult's coming up soon, so I think they're waiting for that.
Yeah, he tries to look for the taunt. That's a big charm onto the backline. A lot of damage coming out. And already Fury gets himself the kill. And in the backline, Wazor just doing so much work to Outlandish and Snormy. They're just going to be forced away. The curtain has been called. But it feels like it's actually on Singularity's side as they're drawing this play to an end. Tower number 1 is going to go down. And the inhibitor will be focused. The Baron's still on Singularity. All of their members still alive. Proka, the main wave clear, down for another 18 seconds as the Nexus is being stripped of its defenses. And Kova, they put a fight up, but ultimately Singularity were able to take this game. 27 minutes on the clock. And this is Singularity finding their 4th win.
I actually think Kova had the right idea in that final play, but mistimed it. A bit too soon for Chara and a bit too late for Tati. Doesn't end up coming together. But I think the critical thing to point out from this one is, although Kova find these good angles, these good approaches to the fight, Singularity would just pound for pound better. Wazor was dominant in that top lane matchup in every team fight from that point. The map rotations, the allocation of resources, beautiful. Fury became a monster. The first tower take on the Herald, thanks to Wazor's pressure, was beautiful. I think this was just Singularity showing they're a team who are further ahead than Kova in those fundamentals, even though Kova can still put up a good fight when it comes to the team fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have 3 handsome chaps ready to break today's action down and that game. So we're going to pass it over to Scoundrel and Gulborg and Gulborg.
I can't work out whether, okay, this is the thing. I can't work out whether that was a dig at Foxy not being attractive or just Foxy being second Gulborg.
Oh.
This is what I'm trying to work out. No. I think that's where he was going with it. Anyway, that felt pretty dominant from Singularity. Kova just, again, I think Orc summed it up properly. Singularity just were better at the fundamentals. Kova could not keep pace, and Singularity just managed to close this one out relatively easily. We have Fury coming for an interview sometime soon, I hope, so we'll chat to him in a bit. But honestly, yeah, this just for me really felt like Singularity had every base covered, and Kova just couldn't keep pace with them.
I mean, yeah, and I think a lot of it obviously comes down to the draft issues. You started opting out with what could have been a global composition, but inevitably it was still too heavy reliant on you winning these team fights. And let's be honest, you're not winning those team fights against that Seraphine in the mid lane, and Wazor already running away with the game from when he gets a solo kill first blood. And I think there was a lot of fires that need to be put out on the side of Kova, and you just didn't have enough firemen for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, honestly, Kova didn't really show us too much this game, and I also think that the draft in general was pretty lopsided. It's just such a good group up and win team comp there from Singularity, and the ease of execution as well is really, really high. So I think all in all, Singularity, they were favorites going in, and then as soon as we saw the draft, I think they're even more favorites. So yeah, no real surprises to see them come out on top. I was really impressed with how they played too.
It didn't quite bode well when there was a massive diffie in the top straight away, and that kind of like played out for the remainder. I do believe I'm hoping that my producer can still hear me. I do believe we have Professor Goulburg ready to take us through a play of the game. Yes, he can still hear me when he's not on the same channel. So there we go, Professor Goulburg, take it away.
So I'll be honest, there's not going to be much professoring over this. Is that a word? I don't know if it's a word. We're going to roll with it over this clip. This is just to utilize how the team fight composition of Singularity essentially works and why it's so difficult for Kova to play into. At this point, you can see they're 6k down in gold. Like, they're already massively behind, and it's just that they have the global comps to kind of force these fights that they're trying to do, but it's just too hard. The layering of CC coming out from Singularity together with Udyr combined with Seraphine, we talked about with this in Champ Select as well, that it's just impossible to play into. Like, he runs at you, there's a charm on top of you, there's heal, these extended team fights, like Fury even going the AP variation of the build. It's just an easy fight for them to move on to Baron. And was this like, wow, amazing play? No, but that kind of how the game went from the entire time. Like, oh, here's where we just force you away with our priority. That's a free objective. We'll do it again and again and again and again. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Kind of felt like that, and as you said, Seraphine mid is, I think, a little bit sleeper. I think you said it in the draft, Goulburg. You're a big fan of Seraphine mid. She's pretty strong, and I think not enough teams are kind of utilizing her to the full extent. I do believe we have an interview. So Foxy, you've got Fury to interview, so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Oh, beautiful stuff, Fury. Hello. Welcome, mate. Thank you so much for taking the time. Congrats on your win, bud.
Thank you.
I want to ask you firstly, as one of the few Dutch players that we have here in the NLC, I believe there's 3 total. Yourself, Markoon, and Tent, whatever he's called nowadays. But either way, they're not a huge Dutch representation. What's it like being in the NLC, being in the Nordics and the UK league, but being one of the Dutchies?
I mean, if I need to compare like the leagues from last year in Benelux, I played there like a full year. The difference was pretty big. Like from now, like the competition is higher than it was there. I think it's really nice as well that I get to play with better mid laners and better teams overall.
Yeah, and your organization is Danish, but you've got 3 UK players, which I've mentioned quite a few times on the broadcast. Is the atmosphere in the team very kind of British? Do they kind of view themselves as one of the British teams in the NLC?
I don't know if it's really British. I think it's just pretty normal. I don't really like, sometimes you hear some British things or whatever, but it's just pretty normal.
Have you picked up any British slang from the boys?
Not really.
All right, even if you had, you probably couldn't even say it on broadcast, to be fair. So I reckon that you guys are probably the second best team in Group B. You beat Barrage, and you lost to Fnatic, so Fnatic is Fnatic. But where would you rate yourselves, in the entirety of the NLC, even when you're looking over at Group A?
I think the academy teams are like still above every team, but I would say like Tricked and us are like looking to get like the 3rd spot if you look at the total picture. So I kind of want to like play against Tricked, but it's not possible. So that's quite sad.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I've question of the day. I've asked this to all the people we've interviewed. Udyr, you guys picked him today. Huge priority, rising priority recently. What are your thoughts on the champion?
I think the champion is totally broken. Like, it needs a nerf real fast. This champion clears really fast. This just wants that everyone claps them. I don't know. This champion is too broken, man.
All right. Well, I mean, he's getting a rework. Maybe that will bring him in line. But it seems like your opinion is shared with a lot of other players right now. Udyr definitely seems to be very strong. Fury, mate, congrats again on your win. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck in your next games.
Thank you.
Well, it's very chilled out. Just a chilled interview there from Fury. Again, I think he's one of the better mid laners that we have in our competition. I think he's definitely an up and coming star. Fury is for the European scene. I expect to see more of him across European Masters and maybe in the future even LEC if he continues on his trajectory. So I think keep our eyes on Fury.
Okay, you got big dreams for him.
I think he's pretty solid. I think he's pretty solid. Anyway, Gulborg, way to rain on my parade. Let's have a look at some of the. I know you do. Let's have a look at some of the replays from today. Can have a look at some of the highlights of our games, and of course, we'll kick this off with that first match, which was the Tricked versus Granite. And again, Tricked really just had a hold of this game.
Yeah, and the real MVP or the real highlight here is the music. It slaps for highlights. I love this. But going on to Tricked here as well, like, if we thought it was going to be a close affair, but it just did not end up being one whatsoever. So Tricked really showing up here and maybe giving us a second thought about where we should rate them. We did all say third position, but yeah, second for sure now in that group.
Yeah, and moving on to another one-sided game with BTXL versus Godsend. I think, this one was maybe a little bit expected, BTXL being the academy team. Always high hopes and high expectations for them, and they definitely proved it there. And then this has got to be my favorite game of the day, not just because I predicted Dusty, and everyone else, by the way, is in the dirt, in the bin, suck it losers, by predicting Nordavind. But just a brilliant, very, very high quality, entertaining game. Would you agree?
I mean, it was not high quality, but it was high entertainment. I'll give you that. And going into the next one, of course, for Singularity, we just witnessed this, a bit of a stomp and a testament to the skill Singularity actually have. A team that has been highlighted a lot by us analysts, but also by the community and the players and the hype around them.
Yeah, I think Singularity definitely looking to challenge at least the academy teams. Challenge them being the key word there, because obviously Fnatic kind of schooled them a little bit when they had their game. But I expect Singularity to grow and continue to get better throughout the split. And they still look clean. They still look clean against the majority of teams that they've played against. Let's take a look though. Again, we are now doing this, the MVP of the day. Gulborg, who have we selected for MVP of the day?
I mean, there he is. There we go. There he is. He beat the best mid laner in the world. He beats the hero. That's pretty good. Insane ACOs. He had a position in mid lane all the time where he kept the pressure on his side and was able to roam up top side, was able to run down bot side. So essentially, he enabled the map. Position king, both in team fight. We saw it when he made these kind of ult, but also just when he's sitting in the back line and dishing out damage with the sand soldiers. And of course, the most important part that I'm sure Foxdrop would love to agree with, that he is most importantly a Dane.
Yeah. I mean, I knew as soon as I saw it pop up, I didn't even read the points. I just saw the flag and I was like, I know why he's picked this guy. I know why he's picked Paulson. To be fair though, to be honest, I agree with you. Paulson did play really, really well today. That Tricked game was really ridiculously one-sided, way much more than we were expecting, and he was a big reason for that. And he gave a pretty good interview as well after the game, so he gets bonus points from me for that.
Well, let's take a look at the standings from today then, gents. We've wrapped up our first day of week 3, and we can kind of see where that impacts the standings. XL 5-0, Tricked 4-1, Granite now 3-2, and Nordavind, Dusty, and Godsend all down at the bottom, tied at 1-4 apiece. So XL kind of powering away with Tricked close behind, but there is a very close race for the bottom end of the table here in Group A. Let's have a look down at Group B. And you can see here, these are the results impacting today. We have Singularity at the top of the table, just for now, because Fnatic have yet to play another game. Fnatic Barrage at 3-1, and then Riddle, Eminem, and Kova all at 1-3. I think Kova should be 1-4, I believe. But yeah, they are 1-3 apiece, and Kova should be 1-4. But those are our standings. And of course, we have got more action going on. You can go to any of the Telia Masters channels, of course, across the Nordic regions. You've got the Telia Masters, like Sweden, Norway, I think Iceland, I think Denmark, of course, I think Finland as well. I think there's plenty of regional leagues for you to get stuck into, as well as the UKLC as well. So if you want to watch more action from the Nordic region, the up and coming talent that we've got that will feed through into the NLC or other regional leagues eventually, make sure you check out some of the Telia Master broadcasts, of which one of our beautiful casters here is actually casting on, and you can see him. If you want to see more of his pretty face, you can see him over on no, it's the other Foxdrop. You can see him on the Telia Masters Denmark stream. Of course, tomorrow we've got 4 more exciting games coming your way. We've got Fnatic Rising versus M&M, Riddle versus Barrage, Granite versus Godsend, and Dusty versus Tricked to round out the day. So plenty more action coming this week on the NLC. For now, though, we will see you then.